Hey everybody, welcome to Midday with Mark. Sorry if it did try to go live just a second ago. Had to change and go with a different setup. Let me adjust. I don't have a tripod here today, so everything's a little messed up, a little different than usual. But I'm glad you're here with me. If you're joining me today live, welcome to Midday with Mark. It's now 12:30. A little bit later than usual. Man, I'm getting long hair. It's starting to get crazy. Need a haircut. I'm sure some of you out there need a haircut, except Mike Basic. You don't need a haircut. I know you're on here. You do not need a haircut. So, so welcome. Glad you're here. Again, I have a little bit different setup, and if the sound is not quite as good, I don't have the microphone with me either, so a little different setup today. I left some things at the church by accident. So glad you're here. Glad you're with me today. Hope you're doing okay out there in Corona land. Staying safe, being smart, all those things. Not throwing a Woodstock-sized church gathering. Maybe you saw that dude on the news. What a loser. Come on, man. Like, chill out, all right? Let me give you your Christmas moment. If you've never joined us, got to get a little Christmas spirit. We need something right now to get us through all this. So a little bit of Christmas spirit doesn't hurt. And I'm the man to provide it for you because I didn't take down my Christmas tree yet. Because for me, after Christmas, now my fiance thinks I'm crazy, just so you know. Hi, Megan. She's watching, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She thinks I'm crazy for my Christmas tree still being up. But see, it's not a Christmas tree. I take the bulbs off after New Year's, and it becomes a winter tree because I like the lights in my house. So it becomes a winter tree, and because all this crazy stuff happened right as winter was ending, I never took it down. So it's here to bless you. So you ready? Here we go. Oh! Everybody feel better? Everybody feel, soak it in. Soak in that Christmas spirit. Feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, feels so good. Everybody want a little more? You want a little more? All right, we'll give you a little more. All right, there you go. All right, let's get on with it. All right, glad that you're here. I hope you can all hear me. Like I said, the microphone, different microphone today, or no microphone, just the microphone for the phone. We also do a pop of the day. I collect pops, and so we do a pop of the day so that you can see a little bit of my collection. I thought today's pop was appropriate. We need a little pick-me-up. We're day 12 here for me on doing Midday with Mark, but I don't know what day we are in the quarantine. I forgot, so it's been so long. But here you go. The pop of the day is Mr. Rogers. We need a little bit of Mr. Rogers right now. Mr. Rogers is today's pop. Check him out there. We got a little hand puppet. Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Pittsburgh's own Mr. Rogers. All right? Mr. Rogers, Pittsburgh own. So that's our pop for the day. So we've just been doing some random stories through the scripture, doing a little bit of teaching. Today's going to be a quick one. We've been using, obviously, the Bible, and we are also using a couple different books. One by John Mark Comer called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, which we have all been in the midst of, the ruthless elimination of hurry, and this book called Following Jesus. All right, so I'm going to read you a quote. Today I'm going to start with a quote from Following Jesus, okay? And I love this quote, and I want you to think about it in your own life, kind of even what you're going through right now. So here we go. Suddenly, this is what Nouwen writes, suddenly the disciples are no longer within the logic of the world. And he's talking about right after the multiplying of the loaves and fish. So when Jesus takes, I always get this messed up, 2 loaves, 3 fish, 2, I can't remember. Been too much information up here, getting too old. And so he takes the little kid's lunch, basically, and he multiplies it to feed thousands of people, okay? Nouwen writes this, suddenly the disciples are no longer within the logic of the world. They have entered into the illogic of God. They are beyond all logic. I'm going to read it again. Listen to it. This is what Nouwen writes. suddenly the disciples, and this would happen multiple times to them, suddenly the disciples are no longer within the logic of the world. They have entered into the illogic of God. They are beyond all logic. And now it talks about how following Jesus, that's kind of what it's like. You step into the illogic of God. So things that were right side up are now upside down, and things that were upside down are now right side up. This is to follow Jesus, is to step into that illogic where everything is not going to make sense to you because you live in a different world. You live in this world that is broken and sinful and messed up, but that's not who God is. And so God operates by different rules, different logic. And Jesus taught this all the time, right? Like, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, he gave us a different way to go, a different pattern for life that seems on the surface illogic, and actually it is. But you're stepping into the illogic of God. You're beyond logic, you're into something else. And I would say this, you move beyond logic into love. Now, does that mean that we throw out all common sense and all these? No, that's not what he's saying. But he's giving us a kingdom life. And this is the way, a rule of life for the kingdom. This is the way the kingdom operates. The kingdom doesn't operate on man's logic. It operates on God's illogic, if you will, and God's love. That's how it operates. It operates on love, the kingdom. And so and if you all notice, if you've ever been in love, love doesn't always follow logic, does it? We've all probably done stupid stuff for love. How many of you guys out there made a mixtape, or you sang a song? How many of you remember Say Anything? Lloyd Dobler standing there playing his beatbox up to the room where his girlfriend was, because love does illogical things, right? Love doesn't follow the logic, and especially God's love in his kingdom. So God takes in people like prostitutes, and he takes in people like tax collectors, and he takes in people that you would never think that God would have anything to do with. That's the illogic of God. That's God's love. And so today I want to look at a story that is illogical by what happens, and the disciples, especially Peter, is learning to step into a new reality. So this is Luke chapter 5. Luke chapter 5. And this story is also going to involve fish, but it's going to involve God's logic, God's ways, God's provision, not man's and man's wisdom. Okay? So Luke chapter 5, it says, one day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, which is just another name for the Sea of Galilee, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. By the way, this scene that I'm about to read is powerfully portrayed in the web series that you can watch on your phone called The Chosen. If you're not watching The Chosen, you should be. Go on your phone, download the app, watch The Chosen. You can stream it to your TV, watch it. It's amazing. It's really good. This scene is powerfully portrayed there. So he saw at the water's edge two boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. So fishermen come in. This is probably in the morning. Fishermen on the Sea of Galilee back then fished at night, because you fish at night because the fish come to the surface. Their nets would only go so deep, so they would fish at night. And so they had probably been fishing all night, and they had not caught anything, as we'll see here in a moment. So they're tired. You can imagine, I've worked all night long. I'm washing my nets to end my work evening because I fished all night, so now I'm done. So I'm cleaning up to go home to go to bed. That's the logical thing to do, all right? So it says they were washing their nets. He got into one of their boats. Doesn't say if he was invited. He sounds like he just stepped into one of their boats. The one belonging to Simon, that's Peter, who will become Peter, okay? He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. So Simon lets him, and they don't really know each other at this point. Maybe they've heard about each other, or maybe at least Simon's heard about Jesus, but they don't really have much of a relationship here. They don't know much about each other, but Jesus is in his boat. He's kind enough to let him be in the boat, and he pulls out a little bit so he can teach the crowd. Okay? When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." And Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." And so Peter relents. Like, okay, you're a preacher, I'm a fisherman, but just to, who knows why, show you up, be done with this, whatever. I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to do what you asked. People seem to like you. You seem to be, revered a little bit here, these people, so I'm going to do what you ask. And he does it. When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. And this is where we step into the logic of God. Logic says, we fished all night, it's morning, there's no fish to be caught here, they're not biting, we're done. The logic of God says, throw your nets one more time, and see what happens. Listen to me, obey me, and see what I will do. See what I will do. So the nets, they filled up their fish with so much they began to break the nets. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both boats so full that they began to sink. They filled up 2 boats of fish. 2 boats of fish. Again, Peter and the rest of the fishermen are stepping into the illogic of God. All right? They're stepping in out of logic. They're moving, as Nowlin writes, beyond logic and into something else, some different type of life. And then it says this, when Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and he said, "Go away from me, Lord." Notice there's a change. He called him master, which was a kind of a respectful title for someone who was a rabbi. He calls him master. There's a respect there. A lot of people do this with God. There's a respect there. But then it becomes, after he steps into the illogic of God and he moves beyond logic, notice his word, Lord. He calls Jesus Lord, which is king, my boss, the one who is everything. And so he says, Lord, go away from me. Go away from me. It's interesting, isn't it? When we stand in the presence of God, Peter's first response is, hey, go away from me. And why? Because I'm a sinful man. I know who I am. And now I know who you are. And that logic, in my mind, says those two things don't go together. The logic says, you're holy, I'm not. The logic says, you're the Lord, I'm just a sinful man. Those two things don't go together. But when you step into the illogic of God, when you move beyond logic and you move into the love of God and the kingdom of God and the way the kingdom works, this is what happens. It says this, then Jesus said to Simon, don't be afraid. From now on you will fish for people. So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. And so Peter gives this, no, go away, I'm sinful, you're not, you're holy, you're the Lord, go away. That's what logic says should happen. Jesus says, no, come follow me, and I will make you a fisher of men. I will take you to places you can't even imagine, because I'm going to take you beyond logic and into love, into the love of God, into the way of the kingdom. That's where I'm taking you, Peter, and your life is going to have an everlasting impact. We're here 2,000 years later reading about a simple fisherman's life. That's beyond all logic. That's stepping into the illogic of God. That's what God can do with your life. That's what God does with my life. Peter was called by God. Peter was called, so are you. That might not make any logical sense to you, but it fits in the illogic of God, and it is beyond all logic. So I'm glad you've joined me today for this little time with Midday at Mark. Hey, I want to give you a couple announcements as you digest that. The River Church will be live streaming Sunday morning on Facebook at the River Franklin Park and at the River Franklin Park on YouTube. So if you want to go to either one of those places, you could hugely help us out by going to YouTube and subscribing to that page. When we get 100 subscriptions, we're able to have our own name, like YouTube/the River Franklin Park. Until we get 100, we can't do that through YouTube. You could help me out hugely by going and subscribing on YouTube to the River Franklin Park. Hey, we got 2 initiatives going on. One of them we did yesterday. We're going to do it every week. We're doing this thing called Feed the Healers, where we're providing meals for nurses and doctors at Swickley Hospital. If you would like to donate towards that effort, yesterday we paid for our entire meal from donations that came in. Way to go. You paid for everybody's meal that we sent out yesterday. It's usually about $10 a meal, so if you want to put $10 in, $5 in, or more, feel free to do that. We'd love to have you join that effort. All you got to do is go to PushPay. It's an app on your phone, PushPay. Download the app, look for our church, the River Church, and go on there and then do a drop-down menu in that, and you'll see Feed the Healers. Give some money towards Feed the Healers. Also at our church, you can look up our address online. We'll have a couple big bins out on our porch. We have a list of stuff that we go up on our Facebook today for that we're taking to Light of Life Mission. They have some needs right now. Love to have you help out with that also. You can leave it at the church in the big plastic totes that we're going to take down to Light of Life. We're going to be doing that for the next month. So at any time, order on Amazon, or if you have to go out for groceries, pick some of these things up and bring them. Don't make a special trip, but if you're going out for groceries, or you can order online, please do that. Bring it to the church over the next month. We're going to be collecting stuff for them. Good to see you all today. Hope you're well. Stay safe. Stay in. Be blessed. Be wise. Faith over fear, not fear over faith. Faith over fear as we go through these very perplexing, different kind of days. Love you all. See you tomorrow for Friday's Midday with Mark, sometime around noonish. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.